Broadcasting to the world from South Jersey, this is Anything Goes with Phil Rossi and JJ Golick. A weekly podcast with different topics every week. The views and opinions on this show are entirely those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of any businesses or organizations mentioned during the show. And now, it's Anything Goes with Phil Rossi and JJ Golick.
Yes, it is. It is Anything Goes. My name is Phil Rossi, alongside, as always, my friend, my colleague. It is JJ Golick. What's up, JJ?
What's up, Phil?
How are you?
Doing great.
All right, so we have a good one for you today. Today's topic, completely different as it is every week. Today's topic is all about relationships.
So we're going to be in the doghouse by the end of this.
Yes, sir. That's the way it's going to work. Just don't let your girl or your mom, listen, or we'll just cut out certain pieces and parts that will work for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right? Or just skip over them, that 15-second skip.
Exactly. So you're in a relationship.
Yes.
I'm in a relationship.
Yes.
Now, are you currently in the doghouse? Do you have anything going against you at this point?
Not anything unusual.
Are you sure? Now I know. I know. Last week we talked. You said you were. Were you in the doghouse, or you weren't sure?
I don't know if I was necessarily in the doghouse yet.
Okay, you were on the verge.
I may have been on the process of getting inside the doghouse.
Now, do you care to share it all, or should we?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's always communication. It's, I will, sometimes stay later at a place and I won't tell her, or sometimes I will change plans, and not necessarily, tell her, oh, hey, I'm going to go do this now. So what should have been done at 2:00 may have ran over to 4.
Okay.
And,
all right,
well, I'm leaving in 15 minutes. But then, as you know, sometimes 15 minutes turns into an hour.
right.
And then 2 hours. And next thing you know, okay, now she's a little annoyed because she could have done something else,
And I think maybe it's more recent as far as with the constant communication with with cell phones.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you talk to the couples that have married 20 years, 30 years ago, they say goodbye in the morning. They may have called them once when they're at work, and then they come home and that was it. I think the issue that we have today is it is constant contact, right? So like you said, if you don't hear from the person you're dating or your significant other within 10 minutes, it's like, oh my God.
Well, you were on Snapchat 10 minutes ago. You were on Instagram 10 minutes ago,
right.
Which isn't always accurate, by the way, so I've found out. But you were active. No, maybe I wasn't.
Right. And the constant communication I don't think it's a good thing. I don't. Because, first of all, it doesn't give you time to miss the person.
Right.
If you talk throughout the day about work, when you see that person later, you really can't talk about work because you've been talking about that all day.
Right.
And it's constant. Like, it really is like texting. And then, because if that person's actually busy, like, I don't know, working, or maybe they have an errand to do, it's like, where have you been for an hour? What, are you cheating on me?
Right. You know what? I don't think, it's necessarily always right to the cheating thing, but sometimes I think they just overthink, especially females. They overthink a lot of times, and it's not necessarily anything that us guys have done, but maybe a guy in the past has done.
But I think, to be honest with you, I think it's both men and women are this way.
Yeah.
And I know years ago, when I would date, if I didn't hear from the person 2 hours, I'm like, oh my God, it's been like 2 hours. And so then your mind starts going crazy, and then you really do have to be self-aware and realize, wait, what? Like, I'm going crazy. Like, this is ridiculous. So if you didn't hear from the person you're dating in an hour, that something is wrong, or they're talking to somebody else, or who are they messaging, or then you, like you said, you get crazy. You start checking Instagram, like, oh, you were active 15 seconds ago or 15 minutes ago, and you run through all these crazy scenarios in your head. And again, maybe that means you're not busy enough, right? If you have this kind of time to just be checking up on people, you really just have to kind of, trust is the big thing.
Well,
and until that person gives you a reason not to trust them, then, in my opinion, you should trust them.
I did this one thing where I took my phone from her, and someone had messaged, and doing all these different social media accounts and things that I do, I get a ton of messages, and half the time I ignore them. And a girl that I used to work with had messaged me, and who's that? You get a bunch of questions, and of course, it's someone from work. whatever.
Right.
And
Wait, so she took your phone?
Yeah, it had lit up. I think we were just getting up from a nap.
Okay.
And she had looked at it, and someone that I used to work with had messaged me.
So let me answer this real quick, not to cut you off. But when she takes your phone, is that her checking up on you?
Not necessarily.
Now, why do you say not necessarily?
I don't say I say not necessarily only because of she just saw it lit up, and half the time I'm like, yo, who's that? Because I'm too lazy to get up.
Okay, so that's a thing you guys do.
Yeah,
okay.
And I can take her phone. She can take my phone.
Okay.
The only time I don't let her take my phone is if I've ordered something online for her and I don't want her to see it.
Okay.
Then I'll be like, but then sometimes I feel like she's like, well, what are you hiding? And I don't want her to get it out of me in that instant. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm hiding something, but it's nothing bad.
Right.
But in the case of this girl messaging me, people message me all the time. And, if you're important in my life, congratulations. If you're not, well,
too bad.
Reevaluate, I guess. Yeah.
You got to earn your way in here.
You do, because I'm busy.
You're a high profile man is the deal.
Sure. And you know how you just said you would overthink, and I used to do
Correct.
the same thing. But at the end of the day, we were up until 2-3 in the morning talking about this. I said, she's somebody that I used to talk to at work. We were catching up. There's nothing there. Nothing there. Mm-hmm. I don't look at anybody else. You hear the saying, you can look, but you can't touch. But really, that's not a thing. It's not. It's not okay.
So you're saying it's not okay to look?
No.
No, see, in my opinion, it is okay to look. Because it's not even like just men looking at women. Or because, listen, women do the same thing. People look at people, right? People are people watchers, right? So say you're walking down the street and somebody just has let's just make it simple. Somebody's got a crazy haircut going on.
Right.
Right. They got like a high and tight. And you're like, man, look at that hair. Now, that could be the same thing. Listen, men and women are going to look. You're going to be attracted to other attractive people, regardless if you're in a relationship, regardless if you're married, because, again, people are people. It's just the way it works. I think it's a little bit too much if somebody looks and, then it becomes an argument or then it becomes a fight. Because sometimes I'll catch a girl looking at another chick, not even in that way, just like, oh, my God, look at that.
Yeah, and I've noticed that is a girl thing. Like, how the guys, hey, go check her out. The girls will do it too.
They do,
especially on the boardwalk in the summer. Right. I noticed that it happens a lot, and I'm just I look at them like, what?
And the reality is, and listen, it's hard when you're telling truth bombs because people get offended by the truth, right? But here, that's what we do. We no holds back. No holds bar. We just tell you our opinion. Tell us, we tell you the way, we feel or our opinion. So I think there is a double standard between men and women. I really do. So like you just said, like women can look at men and women, and that's okay. If a man does it, it's bad. Same thing with a checklist, right? So say you're on any dating app or you're just dating. Women will always tell you they have a checklist, right? The checklist is got to make a lot of money.
Got to be tall.
Got to be tall. Got to be attractive.
What does that mean?
Yeah. Got to have a nice car. Got to be a hard worker. Got to be determined. Got to be funny. Got to be sexy. The list for women is like 300,000 things. The checklist that they want in a man. Now, reverse that and look what a checklist is for us. Our checklist is just be hot, be funny, and just be nice. Like, we don't, like, as men, as a whole, we don't really have a crazy checklist of things that we need from a woman. We really don't.
A lot of it's bonus points.
Yeah, because I feel like men are more, and the reality is we're more visual than women are, right? Like, women are never expected to share their money with men.
Right.
Think about it this way. Like, when a man gets married, his job is then, and again, I agree with this. We're together. We're in a partnership. This is the way it works. We share the money. But it's never looked at as the woman should share her pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
And I feel like that's changing now, though.
Really?
I know when I first started dating my girlfriend that I've always been, that's how I was raised.
Right.
You take the girl out, you pay for it.
Now I will say a first date, the first couple dates, if you're initiating it, you should pay as the man, I believe.
Absolutely. And that's how I was raised.
Right.
And, then I would go buy her little things here and there. And one thing our father always said, I forget exactly how he said it, but it was something along the lines of that it's not going to buy your love or something like that. The money's not going to buy it.
No, it's not.
And you don't have to keep spending money and let her pay every once in a while for something like if we go through the drive-thru or something. And for the longest time, I wouldn't let her. I wouldn't let her pay for anything.
Now, how long did that go on before? Now, did she offer to pay?
Yes, all the time.
Yeah, see, I like that.
We would fight over it.
That's good. See, that is a sign to me of a good girl, because at least she's offering. Now, listen, if she doesn't want to pay, that's here nor there. That's okay.
I've had the extreme opposite too, where it's like, you would think.
Well, and here's where it kind of goes back to the double standard again, because there's a lot of feminism, toxic feminism that goes on that I think kind of gets in the way of the way things are supposed to work. Now, I'm all for, listen, women should get paid. I love women. Get paid more than men. Get paid the same as men. Listen, I'm all for it. Vote, do whatever you want. You're strong, you're sexy. I love it. But there's also that other side that, like in that situation, like you said, you had the flip side of that coin, which was you would go out and the woman wouldn't want to pay. So you can't pick and choose, right? You can't want to be equal and have the same pay and make more and have a career. But then if we go out, you want to go back to, nah, I'm a woman. Like, I'm not paying. Like, that's the man's job. Or like it snowed and there's 8 inches of snow on the driveway. And it's like, well, you're the man. You should go out there and shovel it. I'm a woman. Like, I don't do that. I'm not lifting this heavy box because you're a dude. Like, you're supposed to fix it. Or the other checklist of thing is you don't know how to fix a car. You can't change a tire. You don't know how to sheetrock the walls. What kind of man are you? So, again, it's not every woman, but again, you can't have it both ways. You can't be equal. You can't have the same pay. You can't have all these things. But then when it comes to paying a bill or shoveling the snow or fixing a tire, that you're like, no, that's the man's job, because why the hell would I do that? And that's, to me, what's not fair. As long as it's fair, then I'm good with it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have that balance there, like you said. If you don't have a balance, well, is it really a relationship, or what do you call that at that point if there's no balance there?
Right.
And you can't, I'm not saying that I want you to go out and be the landscaper every weekend and cut the grass and do all the dirty work, because I think there should be a balance there. Example, if she cooks dinner all week, maybe you cook on the weekends when you get done work, or you know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah, and certain people, you have to kind of align with whatever you're dating, whatever their preferences are, because everybody's different, right? Like, I'm not against the man taking out the trash and cutting the lawn and cooking and doing the clothes, and the woman either chipping in, doing the same thing. Whatever your kind of situation is, that's what you have to kind of, abide by. Just don't be a hypocrite and say like, oh, I don't believe in this, and I'm a feminist and all this other stuff. But then it comes to paying a bill, and you're on date number 10, and she never offers. That's just not, because you're working too, right? You have a career, you have a job. Why should the man be expected to pay every single time? I just don't. I just don't think it's right. Something
that I always thought was funny, and it started as a joke during football season, is, my mother and father both do a little bit of everything. Of course, mom, when she stayed home, she would do, the cooking and the cleaning. And as we got older in sports and stuff, it changed a little bit.
Yeah, and moms are, sorry to cut you off, moms are like heroes. I mean, the stuff that they do, which as far as raising you from when you're a baby, they, like I said, take you to all your sporting practices. They're the chauffeur, they're the cook, they're the teacher with the homework. They're so undervalued, which is a shame.
And you don't know what's going on, especially, on the other side. There's a lot of things that happen that you don't realize until later on, too.
Right, all the things they do that go unnoticed.
Yes.
And you also have to remember, they're people, too. Like,
right.
They have a relationship, they have all these different things going on. They get depressed, and, when you're a kid, you don't see any of that. They're just mom. They're just always there to do it. And it's a very thankless job. And, so if you're a mom, you're a superstar in my eyes.
Exactly. And, one thing that came about is, it's one of those where usually the women would do the laundry, right? Mm-hmm. That was usually...
That's the perceived laundry, that's the mom
Cook,
or the woman.
Clean.
Right.
Okay. So something that started during football season, we like to call Dad's laundry service, where he would sit there on Sundays. If you had your laundry and you brought it downstairs, he would do it and fold it and hang it, fold it in between, like watching the football. Right. He would sit there. He'd sit there watching football, folding clothes. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, it is a different world we live in then, because I don't know necessarily if back in maybe his parents' days or, even his parents' days, would that happen?
Yeah, I don't know if, years ago, it was just expected, like these were the roles, the man works, and it didn't happen in every single situation. I think, again, it was more just, socially, that's what was expected. I think today, especially if you're a man, that if you can, do your own clothes, if you can cook your own meals, if you can, pay for your own place, all these things, I think, also makes you more attractive to women, right? Like, say you're living by yourself, but you still got to bring your clothes to mom's house to get them done. That's not something that, a high-quality woman is going to be attracted to, right? No. Like, women naturally are hypergamous. Do you know what hypergamy is?
You might want to give the definition.
Okay, so hypergamy is a term used in social science for the act or practice of a person marrying a spouse of higher caste or social status than themselves. So, women are hypergamous, right? That's a fact.
Right.
It's not, we can't debate it, we can't go over it. They're hypergamous, which means regardless of what they tell you, regardless of the things you see in movies or on TV or articles like we have here in front of us in Cosmo, is women want a alpha man. They want a high status guy. That means he has a good job. Now, that doesn't mean he's got to be a billionaire. Not that it hurts you, but you don't need to have a ton of money. But it does mean that you're self-sufficient. It does mean that you have a job. It does mean that you can take care of yourself. It does mean that you have a nice car or have a nice place. All those things matter, regardless of what anybody else will tell you, because that's just the way it is. I mean, there's people say, oh, it's feelings, or oh, you really have to be sweet and caring, and all that stuff is true, but you can't get away from the innate nature of people and women. They're looking for the high status guy. That's why if you look on, let's just go to dating apps, Tinder and Bumble.
Yep.
Again, let's look at the situation. If you're a woman on there, regardless of how you look or what your job is, if you're on there for 2 weeks, now I've talked to a ton of women, they'll have 500 messages within a week on Bumble and Tinder.
Yep.
For every dude swiping right, every guy's hitting them up in the message. If you're a guy on there, right? Again, let's go back to the checklist.
You might get a message a week if you're lucky.
Right. It's like, because the reality is most men are not high status men. There's like 20% of those guys, and everybody else is just, and in the profiles too, they're trying to, garner attention from women. It's like, the dude's got to be 6'2", got to be hot, got to have a good job, got to have a lot of money, got to have a nice car, got to have his own place, can't live with his parents. I'm not going to date anybody who lives with their parents. So you know what I mean? Like, how much easier is it for women even on dating sites?
And how many times do both sides lie on their profile too?
Right.
I'm 6'3". You're not 6'3".
Right. And even on your dating profiles, like for men and women, stop putting pictures with the Snapchat filter with the bunny ears or with the bear ears.
Dog tongue.
Yeah. I mean, and first of all, it makes you look much better than you are. Because I know, we've played around with the filter, and I'm like, man, I look cute as hell as a dog.
Did you ever notice they always try to put it on you too? They always try to put the filter on you, and you're like, why?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I get it. You're in a relationship. It's cute. Let's play with the filter on the couch and see what we look like, and that's fine. But again, if you're looking for somebody that you don't know, and you're on, Tinder, and you have 10 profile pictures, and like 7 have some sort of filter. It's the one with the rose crown around your head. You have the, I'm a bear. Here's one. I mean, like, again, first of all, it doesn't look like you. And then, second of all, it looks like I can only see your face, and it's altered. And then again, and it's like, it's funny because
some people have photo shoots for these profiles too. You realize that? Like, They will go, hey, I need you to take this Tinder picture for me. What?
Right. Or then the other thing is,
the lighting's perfect.
Right. You'll be out with 25 friends. And I don't know which one you are, because I can't tell in the picture it's altered with the Snapchat filters. And then I see there's 20 people, and I'm like, oh, I kind of wish it was that one to the right, but it's not that one. It's probably
what do? Message them, hey, your friend, 3 people deep to the right.
Yeah, it's you can only see my head. It's like, there's 3 chicks, and then I'm the one behind the other one, kind of kneeling down in the front. And you're like, oh, okay. I guess we'll roll with that. But you know what I mean? It's hard.
Human nature.
Yeah, and people are always putting of course their best foot forward on these dating profiles.
Right.
And the other thing is too, even if you're dating, like men and women too, especially women, you have to just kind of like relax, right? Like just go out on a date. Because another question men will always get on these dating apps is, what are you looking for? Right? So if you're a guy, like how do you answer this? Right? Like what are you looking for? So, a guy, his response might be, I'm looking to date you. And then she'll like interrogate you more. Now this is a little bit more for a little bit older women because
right.
Younger women might be a little bit different. But again, then what's your response to that? Like, what exactly are you looking for? And a lot of times is, as guys, we kind of just take it as it happens. Like, listen, let's go out on a date. Let's see what happens. If we get along, if we like each other, maybe we'll be friends. Maybe we'll have a fling. Maybe it'll be an LTR, long-term relationship.
Right.
Who knows? We don't know. So again, even for women, stop interrogating men on dating apps. Just go out on the date once. And again, the first date, I don't know what you and your girl did on the first date, but the first date should be like, let's go get a cup of coffee, cheap, short, half an hour, talk a little bit. If we like each other, we can move on. Because there's no good reason, unless you can tell me right now, a good reason why you would go on a $250 steak dinner with somebody who could get on your nerves in the first 5 minutes.
That just sounds stupid to me. I don't know why you would even... First of all, that's like a waste of money. You know what I mean? To torture yourself, possibly. You don't know.
Because first of all, you don't know the person you're dating.
And how long do you talk to this person before, like seriously talk to them before you go out on this date? You know what I mean? I know for me, you said go out for a cup of coffee or something. My first date was not a traditional first date. She happened to be up from college and came to probably my last DJ event before the pandemic hit. It was the last thing that I had to DJ, and then we went out to the diner after.
Right.
And nothing fancy.
No, it's casual. It's cool. It's like, listen, let's go out. Let's talk.
Come hang with me while I do something that I love to do. And she got to see, me in my element with the air quotes. And, because that was one thing that I always tell people. I'm not changing my lifestyle as far as my career goes.
And that's big. I mean, to be upfront and to be honest initially is a big thing, because then that woman can make a decision on if she wants to be with you, understanding the terms and agreements. This is not, you do what I say or whatever.
Let's make a deal. It's not that.
Yeah, it's like, listen, this is my passion. These are the days and the hours and the stuff that I do. Listen, we're having a great conversation. I really like you. I think we could have something here. Let's, if you want, let's keep talking. I'll always find time. I'll be around. I'll do all these different things. And you kind of just lay it up front. That way, that person knows. That way, 6 months from now, a year from now, it's not, oh my God, you do all this DJ work and you always work on Saturday nights. And listen, you knew this when we started going out that I work a lot of weekends.
A lot of people argued with me whether it was a smart idea or not to bring her to a gig on the first date. And the reason I did it truly was I want her to see, this is what I do. This is what I love to do. And if you're not okay with it, well, then there's no point in us. There's no point, because this is something I love to do, and I'm not going to give this up.
Right. And here's the thing. To me, again, if you're with somebody who is a good person, a good girl, a good guy, they will back you up and support you in your passion, whether that's DJing, whether that's starting a podcast, whether that's starting a YouTube channel. If they help you, it's even better. If they support you, it's great.
I have to be the luckiest because, she is very supportive of all of it. Even when things started getting rocky in the industry, I lost my one job in the entertainment field, and then COVID happened and I lost that.
Right.
And then I lost my regular 9 to 5, due to COVID and all of that. very supportive, and now I'm built up where I'm doing okay again, and she's helped me go back to college and the whole support system.
Yeah, that's the thing. You need somebody. Again, regardless of what anybody tells you, you need somebody to support you. You need somebody to build you up. You need somebody to stick with you. Again, the reality is there are a lot of women, especially. Again, I know it's a cold hard truth bomb. There are a lot of women, especially, who, as soon as you lose the gig or the money, or they bounce. That's the truth. Oh, no, if you're a good person, they won't leave. No, trust me.
On to the next.
They will leave you because you're no longer providing. You're no longer that high status man. You're no longer you're no longer the alpha male. You're not. So they move on to the next guy who is that. So, it's important to have not open relationships, open communication. That's a whole nother topic.
That's next week.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the thing. It's important to have all these and to understand and know, what women are looking for. The other thing is too, when you told your girl that, in my opinion, that lets her know you're determined, you want to be successful, you're an entrepreneur. Those things to me are just huge positives in what a woman's looking for in a relationship. If you're somebody who is just working a job and you have no ambition to move up and it's not really that great of a job. Now, you could start off, and as long as you have that ambition or you have those goals, you might not be exactly where you want to be today, but you have the ambition to kind of, become more. And also, in your situation, you're younger. So women will be more likely to stick with you if you don't have everything, if you don't have all your ducks in a row early on in life because you're still building up. Now, when you become 35, 40 years old, and you're trying to date.
Now it's different.
Right, and you're trying to tell a woman, oh, just stick with me. I'm going to start this business, and you're 46 years old, and you have nothing in order. It's going to be a lot harder to sell that than if you're 21 years old and saying, listen, here's my goals, here's my dreams, here's my business plan, here's what I've done so far. She'll stick with you and say, listen, this guy's on to something. I like his passion. I like his ambition. I'm gonna hang in here. Like I said, you start pushing that to 50 years old, and you're still working a job where you're not happy, you don't have any money, and you didn't even start yet, your shelf life is a lot less.
And let me put it to you this way. You're talking to somebody, and we've known each other for a decent part now, and I was very anti-college. Remember,
yes,
when we would sit in the classroom, that is why we all went, to Connecticut School of Broadcasting. We were anti having to take an English class to, do what we love.
Right.
Unfortunately, as we all know, things have changed. The world has changed. They want that piece of paper that says that you've got your bachelor's in this and that.
Correct.
And luckily, my girlfriend knew this. She saw everything, and she's had her life. I want to be a pediatrician. She's known that since she was 4 years old. And she's had her. And she made me wake up and realize the world is different. She said, the radio industry, you told me it's not what it was. So why are you going to keep trying, readjust? You can still do the podcast. You can still mobile DJ, but go get your degree. You love computers. And then you also like money. You like money.
Right, who doesn't?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'm not money hungry, but I know the lifestyle that I want to live. She knows the lifestyle that she wants to live. We need those salaries to be able to live the life that we want to live together.
Right, and that's another thing too. Like, in relationships, people, celebrities, everybody, the old cliche is, money doesn't buy happiness. Technically, it doesn't. On the other hand, it does. And the reason I say it does is because it's something that it's a tool that you can use toward happiness that can open up and, get rid of stress.
We go to vacation. She loves Disney. Well, you can't do that without money.
Yeah, and you don't need, when we say money, it's not, $2 million or $20 million. It's just enough to where, you don't have debt, you have all your bills paid, and you have that extra money, enough.
You have a cushion if something happens,
right?
Heaven forbid.
Right. You have enough passive income to where it's not, I hope I can pay this, or I have to go pawn this off to pay that. And, there are different ways to get there. I mean, some people are going to do it in corporate America, working 9 to 5. Other people are going to be more, they're going to have that entrepreneurial spirit. So depending on how you get there is okay. You can save for a long time. You can work side hustles. That's a whole different conversation on how to get to that level. But it does make things a lot easier. There's plenty of examples of people that have money that have a different set of issues that try to use money to help them out of that, whether it's like, depression or family issues. And that's why it doesn't work in that way, because you're using money as a tool to try to help with something that really can't be helped, in that way. But as far as, starting a business or, making income or, having a happier life, making money, having more money, definitely, without a doubt, no question about it, helps.
Sometimes you need that person too that's going to help you wake up and snap into reality. Hey, you're in fantasy land right now. It's not going to happen that way. So stop pretending that it's going to work out the way you want it to, because that's not life. That's not how life works.
No.
It didn't work the first 3 times. Why do you think going for a 4th is going to do something? It's not. It might, but it's probably not.
And I think also with works for people that are, are in your situation is, like you said, you have a girl who pushes you to be better, has pushed you to limits maybe you wouldn't push yourself in. And, like she also said, you can do your broadcasting and the podcasting and your mobile DJ work on the side. So you're still fulfilling that creative side while you continuously, hopefully, build that up and up to where you can go full-time doing that. But in the meantime, you have a safety net. You have a fallback plan to where if that doesn't work out, you have something else to work with.
It's always going to be around, and you have to look at that now. Where back then, maybe you didn't have to as much. But now you have to look at, with technology, you don't need as many bodies.
Right.
But when it comes to the technology, you do need bodies that know how to fix the technology.
Right. And, again, as far as relationships go, how do you know when the relationship is good? Right? How do you know when the relationship is going bad? Like, what signs are you looking for to think I'm good? And sometimes you may miss them. I mean, do you have any ideas?
Well, we were fighting, not really fighting, just little arguments here or there. And it would be over stupid stuff.
Right.
We talked about the communication, and that's something I'm working on. And then, it gets to the fact of where you're overprotective too. We talked about the girl messaging me, and, she got upset over that. Well, it's the same thing where certain people, you get all those robot accounts and stuff, and they slide in there, and you get upset over it. And I'm like, why don't you just block them? And then those words come back. You know what I mean? They come back. And every relationship's going to have the argument. That's the thing.
Yeah, people argue. I mean, it's okay. The other thing is, though, and I think this is more for men. Men cannot be scared to speak. They can't be scared to ask the tough questions, because you don't want to get used. And again, maybe we're biased, maybe we're not. But I think the truth is, men, I think what happens is men don't guard their heart, I think, as much as they should.
Yeah.
I really don't. I also believe that a woman can never love a man the way a man wants to be loved. And it's again, it's tough. It's like the cold, hard, like truth bombs that really, make people feel a certain type of way. But, I think it's true. I mean, again, women are looking for those certain things, and if they're not getting that, they will leave, regardless of how good you are and how much stuff you buy and all these different things. So I think for men, the biggest thing is making sure you're checking the boxes for yourself, which is staying successful, staying hungry, staying determined, and making sure you're a high-quality dude, because that's the kind of guy women don't leave, right? Like if you ever get into a situation where you hear, let's just take a break, leave, right?
That's one thing we said. We said there's no such thing.
Yeah, a break is I'm going to cheat on you. That
exactly.
That is 100% translation, 100% factual. There is no other reason that you would ever say, and this is man or woman, I need a break. I need a break means I'm going to go over here and do some with your friend or somebody out at the bar or whatever the deal is. And they will do that, and then after that's fulfilled or whatever they do, they're going to come back like, oh, I'm healed. Yeah, well, I'm out, right? Soon as we hear break or I'm out.
I know, especially in this day and age, this is what happens. You're right. I'm going to go over there, and it could be your best friend. It could be your cousin. This is what happens.
And see, what happens is when you hear, let's take a break, that means for the man, you did something, you fell off the horse, you lost a job, you downgraded your expensive car and you got something cheaper, whatever the situation is. The woman sees that guy now as he might be the better fit, because a woman will not leave you if she believes you're the best person for her. If she thinks she can get better, she'll go look elsewhere. So that's how you know. So like, again, as soon as you hear, let's be friends, let's take a break, that means she doesn't believe that you're the best guy for her. She thinks she has another option. Maybe she's already working on that option. Maybe somebody else has kind of already introduced themselves, and now she's thinking, yeah, I kind of got Phil or JJ over here, but I don't know if he's the best. This guy is doing a little bit better. Let me go. And that goes back to the hypergamy of
Let's
women.
go experiment. Let's see what happens.
Right.
Oh, well, that didn't work out. So now I'm going to go back to Phil.
Right. And that's the thing. You can't, and as tough as it is, as hard, as much as you might love that person or they're your best friend and you're with them every single day, you're really on just a crash course for disaster, because once you hear that and you're done. I mean, unfortunately, there's just nothing you can do. I mean, maybe you can work yourself, back out of that. But again, do you really want to be with somebody who's with you and then wants to take a break to go with somebody else and then kind of comes back to you when that doesn't work, or that person gets, it's just not good.
And you know what? I've said it, and especially when we would get into an argument, I said, if you're not happy with me, leave me. I don't want you to be miserable. I would say that. We're not taking a break, because like you said, I know what that's code for. But I also feel like there are some women that are different, and not in a bad way. Like, my girlfriend's different in this, and I'm not just saying this because I'm dating her now. She's different in the sense of she's not your everyday girl that, is going to go out and party and, because we got into a fight, I'm going to go out and party or whatever else that these girls do. I'm not going to post a slutty picture on Instagram.
Right.
To get the attention to know, hey, you pissed me off.
Right.
No. My girlfriend's the type of person that is going to let me know I pissed her off. And I'm going to know I pissed her off, and we're going to get through it. We're going to talk through it. We're not going to let it, what I mean? We're not going to let it get to that point where we're going to take a break.
And then here's the thing, too. Be honest with yourself and know who you're dating and who you're dealing with. Because, again, if you are 100% honest with yourself, you won't fall into these traps. Again, if you're dating somebody who has got tons of pictures on social media, always taking provocative photos, got 300 comments, got all these likes, getting all this attention, all these people sliding into the DMs, always going out on the weekends.
I don't want that.
Always partying. Just because they're with you now, that person is who that person is. So, again, to delusion yourself to think that this girl, or even guy, there's guys the same way, that are getting all this attention on social media, elsewhere, out in public, out on the weekends, always out drinking, that will lead to people cheating. It will lead to bad situations. There's just no way around it. Like I said, if you have somebody who's with you, committed to you, backs you up in your goals, you got to hold on to people like that, because honestly, there's not a lot of those people. There's just not.
There's not, and that's when you hear it in the movies, Disney. You feel it. When it's that person, and especially us guys are like, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. They're like, give me a break. And you don't believe it until it actually happens, where you're standing there and you're like, holy crap, like, this person's got something.
Right.
And, it's completely different. Like, it's one of those, you think you've known them your whole life. And, we are so much alike, too, where sometimes it's scary, where we'll say the same thing at the same time. Right. We'll be at the dinner table, and her sister will do something, and we'll both say the same thing at the same time, and they're like, "You two are spending too much time together."
Right, and you do start to become like the same person. I mean, obviously you got to have those similarities in the beginning to kind of, to get together. But it's a great thing. It really is.
We were polar opposites, though. The funny thing was,
the more time you spend together, like I said, the more you become like the same person. The other thing is, to a healthy relationship, you also have to constantly insult each other. Like me and Amy do all the time. I mean, it is constant, making fun of each other, laughing at each other, pantsing each other, just the most ridiculous things.
But it's funny to you two.
Right.
And I have an alter ego that comes out, and I swear this sometimes saves my butt. Mm-hmm. And his name is Steven.
Interesting.
It's it's just another personality where I'll be more fun. I'll loosen up and say stupid things, and I'll do like some stupid accent.
Right.
Steven is the loosened up if you were completely plastered at a party type of person.
Without even drinking the alcohol.
Yes. Because when you're around certain groups of people and you have that chemistry in the room, you can party without a DJ. You can party without alcohol. You can party without all the other stuff. She wasn't a partier ever.
Right.
Ever. She would go, I think she tried at one time, like going out to someone, and it's not for her. Not her out. Now I can do it being a DJ because I'm not really partying per se. We're bringing the party. It's different.
It is different.
You know what I mean? So it's nice though. You would think, I missed it. I miss going out and DJing, but during quarantine, when we would just sit there and we were binging Brooklyn Nine-Nine and all these different Netflix shows, and it was great. I don't got to worry about anything.
Right. I mean, you're building up, your relationship, and again, the pre-life that person leads before you is not going to completely change when you get with that person. So if you're with somebody who is not a party person, who doesn't drink, who doesn't do drugs, that's the person you're getting. Again, on the flip side, if they are going out, they are partying, they are sleeping with different people, that's what you're going to get. Now, they might settle down for 2 months while you're together, but then the way they are is going to creep back into their mindset, or they're going to miss going out, or they're going to miss being with different people. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like if that's the kind of person you are, that's who you are. But if you're looking for an LTR or relationship with one person, and you want to get married eventually, that's just not the kind of person for you. And then depending on the age of the people, that also changes. So you'll see a lot of times, I don't know if you know the chick, Tomi Lahren. She's like a Fox News contributor. And
Okay, I do know who you're talking about now.
Yeah, she's pretty blonde, running your mill 27, 28-year-old, white girl, basically.
Right.
And she had a rant a couple months ago on Twitter about how there's no good guys and all guys are terrible, and it's not just LA or Texas, they're just terrible throughout the entire country. They're all terrible. Now, mind you, she's 27, 28 years old. So at this point in a woman's life, they are looking for, it's like the epiphany stage. It's like time to settle down. Got to find a man, got to get married. They're at that point. Now, she wasn't saying this 4 or 5 years ago, because 4 or 5 years ago, she was making a lot of money. She had a career. She was dating different people. She was going out to the bar. She was having fun. She was doing God knows what, right? She was living her life. She was doing her thing.
Right.
She was 22, 23. It was the best time of her life.
Sneaks up on you. Next thing you know.
So here we are today, 27, 28 years old. It's guys suck. Guys are terrible. There's no good guys, because now she's ready to settle down. And the only thing she's getting is, do you want to come over at 2 o'clock in the morning? I'm only looking for a fling. I want no strings attached, because in her mind now, her and her friends, that's what they're looking for. They want to settle. But here's the thing. You cannot do all those things previously and then expect all of a sudden at 28 years old, snap your fingers, and now the guy's going to come rescue you, because that's not the way you were acting, 5 years ago. So again, depending on what you're doing, just remember that stuff doesn't go away. That people remember, that people know.
Social media is forever.
Right. So, people see that, they remember that, and now because you want it, and now it's your biological clock is ticking, now it's like, oh, now I gotta settle down.
Maybe all the good guys in your bracket are now gone. Maybe, you know what I mean? It happens. Mm-hmm. And now you're going to go looking for a sugar daddy or something. And that's not doing justice either.
Right. It's all these different, you really got to learn all the different periods in, especially like women's lives and what they go through. Right. So, you're going to be in high school, then you're going to have the college, like the party years. Then it's going to be,
or you don't.
Right. Or you don't. Yeah. There are, and they're the people, again, and I was the same way. I'm the same way as you. I've DJ'd a ton of parties. I've done college parties. I've done weddings. I've always brought the party. I've never smoked anything a day in my life, like not once. So anybody who says like everybody smokes, that's a lie. Because I can tell you for myself that I've never smoked. I never tried it. I can't even swallow a pill, an Advil. So like I'm not popping Molly. I'm not snorting anything off the desk.
Now you're looking at these people going, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I'm like, listen, you can do whatever you want. Thank God you paid me before you came in here.
Yeah,
because
right.
I got the money. You can do. I've been offered numerous times, especially when you're DJing. You're in the midst of the party. You are the party. And, people will offer you all the time.
Here, have a shot.
Yeah. And listen, I've socially drank here and there, but I've never really been blacked out or I can't remember. And, and people think, oh, there's no way. Well, listen, just because that's what you do doesn't mean, that's what I do. And again, regardless of what you do, just stay strong in your convictions. Don't let other people, dictate what's right and what's wrong.
You have people that learn their lesson too, like me. I'm like, hey, you know what? I've always DJ'd. Let me try to, drink myself into oblivion. Well, guess what? It ain't all that. I mean, you get some funny stories. You did some stupid crap, but guess what? I just told you about Steven. Steven sprung from those evenings, but you don't need it to do all that, and you don't have to feel like shit the next day either.
Right, and it correlates back to also who you're with. If you're with somebody who that's all they want to do is go out and drink, and if you're not that person, that relationship is not going to work because they're going to want to go out and party and have fun and get crazy, and you're going to be like, nah, can't we just go to dinner and then go watch a movie? Or, you can have your time, you can go out and dance, but it doesn't, if it's consistent, if you're, same thing with drinking, if you're doing this 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week, listen, you got a problem. I mean, I hate to break it to you. I hate to be so brutally honest, but that's the truth. So again, you want to be with somebody who, understands your values, understands your principles, you get along.
If you come home every night and you have to have at least a beer, you may not have a problem, but you might have a problem. Because, I do know some people that can go without it. They prefer not to.
Right.
I've earned that right when I come home to have a beer. Now, some of those people, whatever. You're sitting at home on your back porch, you're smoking your cigar and you're having a beer. Okay, whatever. You know what? You're responsible. You're home. You had a long day. You want to do that. But if you don't need to do it, because there's a difference between want and need. You know that.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to, healthy relationships. Being with the right person, not again, not turning to alcohol or drugs because you don't have that. And this is what I'm saying, even like with dating. Like, stop being so picky. And just because the more people you meet, the more opportunities you're going to have. Not even just in dating, just meeting different people, understanding different people's jobs, just going out to chat with different people. Especially women. Like, listen, we know this. Ask any woman this. Like we said earlier, if you're on Tinder, Bumble, I don't care what you're on. They're going to have, they're up there for a day, 24 hours. They're going to have at least over 100 messages. Easy.
Yep.
I don't care what you look like. I don't care if you're posting pictures with like a blurry face. Dudes are going to slide into the messages, into the DMs, and they're going to want to take you out. So again, even if you're looking at it I just want to go out and talk to this guy. Like maybe there's no sexual attraction. Maybe you don't even want to date. Maybe you just want to go out just to talk to somebody. So again, sometimes look at it like that, and then you never know what kind of opportunities, relationships, friendships, flings, whatever you're looking for might come out of just not being so picky, not having such a ridiculous checklist of, I don't like the way he ties his shoes. His hair looks a little weird. She's kind of a little chunky. Like all this craziness. Just go and talk to people, and you'd be surprised what just talking to people really does for you.
Exactly, because I feel like when you're necessarily looking for something, tunnel vision.
Right.
I'm looking for the blonde hair, blue eyes. He's 6'4". He makes this much money. He drives this car. Okay, well, now you are so tunnel vision, you're never going to find this person. Little do you know, Mr. Perfect could have been standing right next to you.
Right, and you have such a diluted idea of what you're looking for. And the other problem is, too, again...
I did.
Right. Another cold, hard truth bomb is you're not as great as you think you are. Right? Like, and that goes for
everything.
Lot... Yeah, a lot of people... A lot of different, a lot of different ways too. People have a inflated idea of, their ego, of their looks, of their job, of all these different things that they think, oh, I can get this. And then again, look at yourself in the mirror and then think, like sometimes when I get up in the morning, I look at myself, would I want to date me? Like if I was a chick, would I want to like be with this guy? And if you're like truly honest with yourself and you say, no, I wouldn't. Or even if you take it a step further and say, if I look at this person in the mirror, would I want to have sex with this person? If you say no, then everybody else who's looking at you is probably saying no.
Yeah.
Right?
Except for like a very small percentage.
Right.
And that's probably the percentage you don't want to be associating with, I hate to say.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like if you're like, if I was standing to myself, looking in the mirror, I'd say, if I was a chick, would I have sex with this guy? And you say to yourself, maybe, I'm not sure. Become a better version of yourself, right? Like, listen, everybody's got their ceiling. You know, not everybody's going to be a 10 and like super sexy and like Brad Pitt and, you know, Zac Efron criteria. But if you look at yourself honestly and you say, and you're actually actively seeking to date somebody or look for somebody and you're honest with yourself and say, I'm a 4, right? Make yourself a 7.
Right.
Because then it's only elevating who you can be with. It's elevating different people you can, and it also makes you more confident. It's really about building yourself up to make you a better man, to make you more confident in yourself. So that way, when you're talking to people, when you're interacting, when you're working out, when you're going out, you feel like you're the best version of yourself. And, you know, again, that's a huge thing that women find super attractive too.
Well, you know what? Going back to the whole support system thing, you want to make yourself better. A lot of people, especially like me, that want to lose the weight. Like, you know,
right.
you might have a lot to offer, but, you know, you just want to feel better about yourself. And, you know, that's where we're kind of at now, where we both want to lose the weight.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That's good.
And we know we can push each other. We just got to stop finding the excuse of why we're not doing it. Same thing like we talked about last week. You know, you keep putting it off later. I'm going to do it later. I'm going to start this podcast later. Well, eventually later never comes. So we're at the point now where, you know, we're sitting down probably tonight or tomorrow and going over, you know, this is when we're starting it. This is how we're going to do it. And we're just going to have to push each other to make it happen. And I think we're making like a whole family thing.
That's good.
With her family.
That's great.
Because, you know, you have that support system. It's a lot easier to do it. Hey, why are you eating that bowl of ice cream? You're not supposed to be eating that right now.
Right.
And you talked about making fun of each other earlier. You know, you have to be able to do that, and especially with the weight thing. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, my buddy and I were talking about it the other day on his radio show. We started off, oh, well, there's a lot of things I can say about him, but there's a lot of things I can't say because the FCC will take me off. Mm-hmm. You know, alluding to things you can probably imagine. And we both said we have faces for radio.
Right.
You got to be able... You got to be able to make fun of yourself, or it's not going to be able to. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, self-deprecation is is huge. If you can, make fun of the way you look, make fun of your weight, really make fun.
My fat ass ain't getting through that door, but you can.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like anytime you're self-deprecating, people automatically like you more. Like nobody's going to like somebody cocky if you walk in and say, "Listen, I'm the sexiest thing that's walked in here today." Right now, it could be true. You could be attractive. You could be built nice. You could have a great job. But if you're cocky, people are automatically turned off to you. The same way if you're self-deprecating. If you're like, oh, I tried this podcast thing, and I think I'm all right at it. And people listen. They're like, man, you're really good at it.
We start weddings off when we do a wedding. We started doing when Keith and I will do one. He'll usually MC and I'll DJ. Mm-hmm. And he'll go, I know you're looking at the fat guy over there, but it's the fat guy over here with the microphone waving his hand. Yeah. and you see some people, look, he just call him fat.
Right.
And vice versa, because we both do it to each other. It's hysterical. And then you got other people that are cracking up because like, yo, they just called him fat.
And here's the thing, too. It's, this is why we've been talking about that having the support system and somebody who, pushes you to be better is a great thing, because as much as we joke about it, as much as we're self-deprecating, there's also that part of us that it bothers us, right? Yep. So, we use humor and we use laughter as a way to, poke fun at it, but, and I know this personally myself, that it bothers you, right? Like, you want to be in better shape, right?
What are you talking to your other boyfriend?
Yeah. That's the thing, like deep down in your inside that you want to change it, right? It stabs you, right? It makes you feel like, you're like, man, I know I joke about it, I know people see it, and I know that I don't like the way I look in pictures or in videos and all this stuff. And the biggest takeaway is you just got to change it, right? Like nobody's stopping you except you. So when you look at yourself in the mirror and you come up with, oh, it's this person's fault, or oh, it's because I'm busy with work. Listen, you could throw all that bullshit out, because the reality is you're the reason that you're not there yet. So again, start yesterday, start today, but stop putting it off. Oh, we'll start the new week. No, because you're going to feel better when you just start, because then a week goes by, then 2 weeks go by. Now you're kind of getting a little bit of momentum. You're like, I kind of see like the weight starts falling off. The other thing is too, when you're in a relationship and you start getting healthier and you start physically looking better, that only makes your relationship better. Because again, another reality is people want to have sex with other people that are attractive, right? It's a fact, right? So if you're hot, she's hot, you're built nice, she's built nice, more people will want you, even though you kind of do your own thing, you kind of stay there, be good, don't do anything I wouldn't do. But
what did you do though?
I did nothing. I did absolutely nothing. But again, like, you know, so working out together is only going to make you more attractive to each other because you're getting hotter.
Right.
Like damn, like your arms are looking sexy.
Look at my man over there.
That's what I mean. And again, don't be fooled and don't believe that men and women don't want to walk around with arm candy on their arm. As far as like being with an attractive person, it doesn't mean you got to be super sexy and have abs and all this other craziness. But if you're attractive, if you're confident, and again, you can get there, especially working together, because now you see the kind of results you're getting from doing your thing.
Get
right?
up in the morning, go to the gym together,
and it not only physically makes you feel better, mentally it makes you feel better, right? It does.
Yeah.
Like I even worked out this morning. When you work out, you feel good, right? Then you get dressed, you're like, man, my chest looks real good. You know what I mean? Like, and even if you're talking yourself up a little bit too much, and you know, like you
have
can feel
an ego in that sense. You can have an ego if it's motivating something like that. If it's a positive,
right? You're motivating yourself. It's not like you're throwing it in somebody else's face.
Hey, you suck.
Yeah,
you can't have a podcast. You suck.
Yeah, you're not as good as me. Like I'm better than you.
Right.
But you can motivate yourself by doing that. And again, it's all the things we always talked about. You know, your clothes fit better. You feel better, you know, physically and mentally.
Yeah,
and
you sleep better. Like for me, it's the lack of sleep with the weight that I gained, because I had all the weight, I lost it, and now it's back. And I remember how much better I felt, not just because, hey, I was a toothpick, but because I slept better, I felt better.
Yeah,
I could run around a wedding, jumping up and down nonstop and doing all this crazy crap. But now I put, you know, just to raise the roof a little.
Yeah.
I'm breaking a sweat. I'm out of breath. What is this?
And when you're young too, it's not good. When you're young, it's not, because you should be, you know, when you're young, you should be full of life. You should be energetic. You should be attractive. You should feel good. You should be able to run around and do certain things. You know, you have plenty of time later in life to, you know, get married and have kids and for all that stuff to kind of settle down. And you don't need, you know, young, you should be hot. You should be running around. You should be living life. You should be enjoying it. You don't want to get bogged down with that kind of stuff. You know,
I shouldn't have to take a nap. You know, if I come here at 12 o'clock to do the podcast with you, and then I have a gig later at night, there's no reason I should have to take a nap. No. Or, you know what I mean? Or rest up. I should be able to do 2 shows here, go do a gig there, and still have some.
Yeah, I mean, you're so young, and it all goes back to relationships. If you're looking for somebody, if you're having a hard time dating, the first thing you need to do before worrying about your ridiculous online profiles or your pictures or any of this other stuff is make yourself a better man. You know, elevate yourself, because you're nobody's ever at the point where they're good, right? Where they can't get any better. So like we talked about, whether that's losing weight, whether that's working harder, whether it's getting a better job, whether it's starting a side hustle, make yourself the highest status man you can do, because then everything else will fall in line. Because again, if you're online and you're a 3, right? If women are like actually rating you and they're like, yeah, he's about a 3. Nobody wants a date of 3.
Nope.
They don't.
You're not even on the scale as far as I'm concerned.
Right. So, you know, and it's the same thing for women. If you're looking at a woman and she could do the same thing, like, again, work out, get a better job, take care of yourself, do all these different things, and then you will date people. Then other people will find you attractive. And it's not just a superficial thing that doesn't matter, because when people like you, when people are attracted to you, when people give you compliments, that makes you feel good, which also then in other parts of your life makes you like, wow, I got a couple compliments today. I'm going to go in, I'm going to kill this podcast, or I'm going to start this thing I wanted to start, or I'm going to start a new business, or I'm going to apply for that job for the promotion because I'm ready to do it, because you just feel better about yourself. So it's much more than just, oh, let's lose some weight and I'll feel better. But
well, you know, there's one other thing that I want to bring up and just see what you think about it, and that's when you're in a relationship, is there a such thing as being together too much?
Yes.
And when did you realize, hey, maybe we need to go do something apart?
I think, and again, I'm speaking from experience here. When you're together all the time, you never give each other a chance to miss each other. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like you do everything. Like you're constantly on the phone, you're constantly texting. As soon as they're done work, you're there. As soon as lunch, you go there and have lunch. It's like 7 days a week, and you never have time to really get away from that person. And I think the best relationships work when, obviously, you're together, but it can't be like nonstop, because if you don't have other friends, if you don't go out with the guys, if she doesn't go out with the girls, if they don't go out with the family, if you don't go out with the family, then you just become absorbed and just so focused on just you two that, I think you're going to fight more, and you're not going to have that, like, you're not going to have, like, miss each other. You're not going to be like, man, I haven't seen Phil or JJ in, like, even like 2 days, or, I haven't really talked to them that much. Like, I'm dying to see them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you don't have that. So you do have to, find nights and different days and stuff where, if and that's the thing, you want to kind of keep yourself busy to where you're doing, not just like staying away just to stay away. Like, I'm sitting in my house, you're sitting in your house, let's just not see each other because we just don't want to see each other. But whether that's picking up like an extra shift, because then I've noticed, like, then that if you haven't seen that person that you're with in like 2 days, when you see them, they're like, they jump all over you. And that goes back to, like, you work out, you're feeling sexy, right? 2 days go by, You haven't seen that person. As soon as you walk in, she jumps on top of you, and then...
you can figure out.
And then stuff happens. Then you build puzzles together.
Right.
Whatever you're doing.
Build puzzles?
Yeah. Or play Parcheesi or something. I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like, being apart makes the heart grow fonder.
Well, I learned
really
that
does.
the hard way. Because, we're at that point now where we were together so much. And, like, right now, I'm probably going to look at my phone and there's probably going to be messages, like I said earlier, where, what are you doing? Where are you at? And, we're just starting now to figure that out. We learned it the hard way because, we were getting into arguments, but, there's not to say, like, she's going to come out on Friday night. I'm, running audio for a guy. She's going to come out. She's taken the reservation that I had for the two of us. She's going to bring her best friend out.
Okay.
And so she wanted to be there and support me. Well, I said, well, why don't you bring your best friend out? Because you said you haven't seen her in forever. Bring her out. You guys have dinner. I'm doing my thing. You're still supporting me if, you're worried about doing that. I told her it's okay.
Right.
You don't have to, but I get it. So we came up with that, and now everybody's happy. They get to see each other. I don't have to feel like I'm ignoring her. You know what I mean? When I'm focused on doing what I got to do. Mm-hmm. And, we're going to see each other after. And
then we'll leave you with this. The last thing, as a guy, there's certain things that you don't want to do, right? So, as a guy, you should never be, calling your girl, talking to your wife about, like, drama like you had at work. Right? Like, women are going to come home and they're going to tell you about what this person did at work and what the girl said and the drama. But as a guy, they don't care, right? And it makes you look less manly if you're calling and be like, oh my God, baby, they cut my hours, and oh my God, like, Donna said this, and my Uncle Barry did this. Like, it just makes you look so unmanly when you're, like, sitting on the phone just talking about your problems, or, oh, my checking account, or I only have $200, like anything like that.
Unless it's something, like, cool that maybe you did. Like, if you have an actual cool job.
Right, like, no,
I met Ryan Seacrest today.
Yeah. Yeah, like, that's different. But I'm talking about if you're, like, whining about your problems, that's not, like, as the man, just think about you're the protector, you're the man. Like, you let her tell you and you listen to, her issues, but it's not her job, and she doesn't really care to hear about your negativity or what's going on in your life. Like, and it sucks because, and as a guy, like, if you have those things, talk to another guy, talk to a friend. If I'm like, yo, JJ, I got some stuff to tell you, got some stuff to tell me, we can get that off our chest and kind of support each other that way. But, in my opinion, don't tell your girl those things, because it just makes you look like you don't know what direction you're going in. So she's like, if this guy can't even, help himself and have his, like, finances and his stuff together,
help me?
How's he really going to support me?
Yeah, really.
So again, keep that, like, guy to guy type thing. Let us help each other, and then let her complain to you with her drama and her stuff, and you kind of just take it in, and
you're the hero,
and and you get it. It's all these little, like, psychological things that make a big difference. Because again, if imagine you're calling her every day oh, hey, this happened. My life sucks. I lost my business. I'm not making any money.
What am I, your girlfriend or therapist?
Right, and that's the thing. You don't want to be her best friend. You know, you're her man. You know,
right.
You're the hero. You're the dude. You're the alpha. You're the
everything.
Yeah, you're the guy. You know what I mean? You're the dude.
I'm the dude.
That's you.
You said you're, so.
True.
So I am the dude.
Yes, he is. That is JJ the Dude. I'm Phil Rossi. Thanks so much for tuning in to Anything Goes with Phil Rossi and JJ Golick. Make sure if you haven't done so already, you're following us on all the social media platforms at Anything Goes PJ, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now Snapchat as well. You can find the podcast wherever you find your favorite podcast, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Next week, we talk how to make money doing side hustles.
This is Anything Goes with Phil Rossi and JJ Golick.